Welcome to Truth or Raps. So this isn't really about rap, but I can work it into a rap context in some way. But I was just feeling I had this tension sort of around here, and like sort of a tense kind of strings kind of thing, and I was just thinking like, well, like I sort of had that tension going, and I thought, what are you really looking for right now? To some extent, part of what I was looking for was letting go of that tension. And often, I think people, and me included, perhaps in some cases me especially, often people, especially perhaps if people who have like really there's like a 45-second video on Matt Shtick on Rumble where I talk about how I was sort of realizing how I was kind of reaching into the future and grasping. And so people who sort of have an idea of, and if you hear a drum beat in the background, that's from the PlayStation. Hopefully you don't, but that's from the PlayStation 4 uh, console theme that I have, or system theme, or whatever they call it. It's a Metal Slug theme, so it's just sort of it's actually kind of a repetitive like drum roll kind of thing. Actually, I think I'd like to stop that myself anyway. Like me, I'd like to stop it. And now, how am I going to stop it? There are sneaky ways to stop it. One way is by going into a menu screen where they don't have that playing. Or perhaps by playing a video, quote unquote, of gameplay footage, but just playing it as paused. There we go. Tekken 7 saves my ass. Again, just kidding. Well, I like Tekken 7. It's really good, but and I just beat the arcade mode actually. And I realized too, the arcade mode in Tekken 7 only has 4 fights. It's fights against maybe 2 randomized opponents from the game, and then you're fighting Heihachi, and then you're fighting Ayumi or Ayuma Kazuma. It has a K and a Y and U's maybe and an A and an M. I don't know. But the final boss is that girl, and she has 2 forms. But it's just if you beat her once, she takes her second form, and then if you beat her again, then that's the fight. So, like in terms of just the rounds of the fight. So first round she's in one form, second round she's in the second form. That's it. It's a very short arcade mode. I felt kind of gypped by it actually, because then I was like, well, let me customize it so that it's longer, and perhaps it has like 6 randomized fights before the 2 boss fights, which is kind of normal, like 6 or 7 before the 1 or 2 bosses or something. Like I think that's what Mortal Kombat did. I think that's what the original Street Fighter 2 did. Not the original Street Fighter maybe, but Street Fighter 2 and on. I think that's sort of the way to do it classically. In this case, Tekken only has 4, and a more disappointing thing is that other than that, the offline single-player mode options are just fighting an endless series of fights to get like items to customize your character's aesthetic with, just visually. Maybe some of them have effects other than visual representation, but I'm not sure. And then, and that's it. Other than like a practice mode, which, practice mode can be very useful to a lot of people, I think, but if that's your whole single player experience, other than the story mode, which is fairly lengthy, but it's just, essentially it's just cutscenes and then short uh, battles with like pre-selected characters and pre-selected situations, and it's like that. I found that also with Virtua Fighter 5, and perhaps with, I haven't played much of it, but with Soul Calibur 6 or whichever one I bought from the PS store. But Virtua Fighter 5, and now I realize Tekken 7, they're like the bare bonus games I've ever seen in terms of single player options. Like super bare, but like shockingly, Virtua Fighter 5 is even worse. Virtua Fighter 5 has an arcade mode and I think a practice mode, and I think that might be it. So like arcade mode where you fight like maybe 4 or 6 randomized battles and then like 1 or 2 bosses, and that's it. And then a practice mode. And then it's online mode. It's like, that's the whole game. It's like, it's sort of infuriating because Virtua Fighter 4, especially Virtua Fighter 4 Evolution, of course that was back before online was big or even available in the case of Virtua Fighter 4, but, or Evolution rather, and perhaps 4, maybe both of them were online, I'm not sure, but of course, that was back when a single-player mode was seen as more important. And by the way, I'd argue that there's less multiplayer gaming today. Some people probably play games online sometimes, but I think that's a huge misconception. I think most gamers are looking for more single-player-y type of stuff, which is why most of the big games are generally like single-player-y kind of games, like the new God of Wars or the Resident Evils or the Final Fantasies or the Starfield or the Last of Us or the this or the that. They're all like single player campaigns. That, like, people say, oh, people only want online and so that's what games are focused on. That's fucking, I think it might just be a misconception because I only realized it somewhat recently, but that is fucking bullshit. Like, it's actually fucking bullshit. And so I think essentially it means that just you get games with less and less actual content, and they have like a multiplayer mode online that most people don't even probably play. And so it's like the new Call of Duty games are basically just multiplayer modes online. I really did like Black Ops, or not, yeah, I really did like Call of Duty Black Ops 4, which I think was a little, I think part of the, like, I think that was the first game that Call of Duty released where it was just online multiplayer. There was no single player mode, and I think they actually went back to having single player modes maybe for everyone after that, but it sort of doesn't matter because I liked Black Ops 4 a lot actually, and I enjoyed the multiplayer online, but like you look at most of the Call of Duty games, or at least like I have Vanguard, I have Infinite Warfare, I got that used, I think I have Infinite Warfare. I think I might have Advanced Warfare as well, and then I might even have a one downloaded, or maybe I used to. I think I got one for free on the PlayStation Plus monthly free games thing once, but I think that was for my earlier PlayStation Plus account that I don't currently have access to. So, but. Or that I'm not sure how to get into currently. I don't think I have the password for it, etc. But anyway, I guess I could just keep trying, but trying, not crying. I'm not crying, but yeah, it just seemed like I'm very unimpressed by the single player Call of Duty options. Like, very unimpressed. Like, I played a little of the Vanguard one, and I guess I probably didn't give it much of a shot. Like, I didn't even finish the first mission or whatever, but like what I played of it, it was just like, it just felt like it didn't feel like, it didn't feel worth playing. It just like it's like, basically don't even include one if you're just going to make it something that is like meant to be there but not be played, like, not saying that that was what they were going for, but that's sort of what it feels like. Whereas if they had really good campaigns, like for example the Doom single player campaign, the Doom Eternal, or just basically any like really popular game, and even different genres like Witcher 3 or like this or like that, it's like if you actually had a single player game there, or even Destiny 2 stuff. I mean, Destiny 2 is specifically online, but even Destiny 2 feels like it has a better single player than most, than a lot of the games that pass for like for example, than like the Call of Duty single players. It's like I'd rather play Destiny 2 single player. Although recently I tried to start playing it again on my new PlayStation account, and I'm stuck with these like light missions or something. Like it doesn't seem like I can progress. So I like started a new character, but I basically have stopped playing because these missions are so annoying. And it's like it seems like they're taking a long time too. And it's just like I don't want to spend the time doing this to get to but I'd like to play the Destiny that I used to play, the Destiny 2 that I used to play, but it seems like these missions are just there, and I don't even know if I'm going to be able to do other missions after this, so it'll just, I don't know. Because then it's like, well, are they going to make me pay for an expansion pack to play other missions? Like, do they take away every mission other than the expansion missions? At this point, with online games, it's kind of tough because it's like, what even is available anymore? But I think it's totally bullshit that they've emphasized online to an extent where they say like, well, nobody plays the single player. It's like, no fucking bullshit. Everybody plays, or if not everybody, I think most people who buy a game, and this goes for your Gran Turismos as well, this goes for like anything, any genre. People who and fighting particularly, but also racing games actually particularly, although I think they tend to have more single player stuff. But Gran Turismo Sport, for example, that was until it got more content, and now it's actually closed. You can't even fucking play it anymore. I have the Steelbox. It's fucking worthless, but Gran Turismo Sport, that game, it started as like, it was essentially the Black Ops 4 of Gran Turismo games. It's like, yeah, this is mostly just an online multiplayer game, and this is the PS4 Gran Turismo, and it's like fuck you, I got the PS4 hoping to play Gran Turismo 7. I got Gran Turismo 7 on it, but it's got such long load times, and it's like, well, this is natively a PS5 game. So basically the PS4 missed its native Gran Turismo game. It's Gran Turismo, because it doesn't have one anymore, because you can't play Gran Turismo Sport anymore, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'd like to still be able to play it, but I heard recently like it's ending soon, and I think we passed the date where it was supposed to be ending. So I don't know, but anyway, yeah, bottom line, and I think this will sort of turn a lot of people's heads because I don't think people have really thought about it. Bottom line, it's a total fallacy that more people want to just play online games. Like, it's a total fallacy that people are more interested in playing online multiplayer than they are single player. That's a total fucking fallacy. All the big YouTubers, they mostly talk about single player games. Like, or most of the big YouTubers, it seems. Most of the Twitch streamers, even, they're not playing fucking like Call of Duty games. They're mostly playing like Dark Souls and stuff. They're mostly playing single player games. So most of the videos that people watch people play, they seem to be about single player games. Big YouTubers like Angry Video Game Nerd, Happy Console Gamer, Scott the Woz, they're talking about single player games. Like, it's all, and people, all the huge games like the Fallouts, the Bioshocks are older now, I guess, but the Fallouts, the Metal Gear Solids, if they make any more of those, probably maybe not, but with Kojima not doing it anymore, I guess. But your Death Stranding, or Death Stranding soon enough, your South Park games like Fractured But Whole, which by the way I realized that I bought it. I think I like accidentally bought a game because it was like in my cart, and then I just like pressed X a few times or something, like, or I don't know. In any case, I was like, okay, I'll buy whatever's in my cart or something, but I didn't realize, I thought it was something else, but it was the Fractured But Whole. I don't know, maybe it's just going to give me the demo, but it's downloading the whole fucking game, because I had downloaded the demo before, but I think I bought Fractured But Whole without knowing it, and I think I might have bought it on sale. I hope I did. I hope it didn't go off sale, and then I ended up buying it sort of without knowing it, but that's downloading now. I'm actually really excited for that. Guess what? It's this fucking single player experience, I hope that's not the one where you fucking kill a baby like in the womb. That's horrific. Like literally on principle, I wouldn't even want to buy the game that's part of. At least like to some extent. Like, I really wouldn't want to support it, but the South Park games are so good, and you don't have to do that. That it's like, okay, that's grotesque, and it's really repulsive. It's almost more repulsive than anything because it's similar to like this is a very generic and tired example at this point, but if the stories about all of history in this regard are true, like in the regard that you've been told the stories about this is what happened in Germany and stuff, it's similar to like during the Third Reich, if they had like video games back then, them releasing a game where they were like joking about like, K X X X I N Ging or KXXXING people in GXX space CHXXBERS. Like, it's like if they were fucking joking about that in a society where it was still legal to, or where the society was supposedly still doing that stuff, like if they were joking about that in a video game back then, if they had like video games back then, oh, they didn't have, so it's totally invalid. Yes, but in a world where that was the case, but they also had video games, like, and they had, oh, that's a bullshit example. It's like, no, just say the culture was that same culture, the supposed like culture of World War II Germany, and say they had a video game in that same culture, put it in today's time period, but say there's a culture that did exactly what they did, but it's in today's time period if you don't want to go back in time with it, and they had a video game from people from that culture making fun of what I said they were making fun of in the G chambers. It's like, that's horrific. Like, that's worse than like black humor about things that people say are bad. It's like, no, it's dark humor about something that a lot of people say are good, probably to some extent the people making this game in a culture where it's totally legal and totally common and just, a horrific thing that's always going on constantly. And that's the whole like killing babies in the womb thing in the South Park game. It's the most horrific thing, ever. And so I think that it was in the stick of truth. And so in that case, in that case or not, well, I hope indeed that it is that the Fractured But Whole does not have that part. Because I still want to play a South Park game. Now, I will say I'm a little less crazy about the grid battle scene, like the grid battle setup in the Fractured But Whole, as opposed to the Stick of Truth's more normal RPG style, like side and side turn-based setup thing. But thing that be as it may, But anyway, yeah. If this hasn't already gotten far enough away from rap, and also what I was talking about, that was also not natively just talking about rap or something. I was walking earlier and I was thinking, there's like what I'd really like to do is let go of this tension. Like, and it's like, there's a sense of like centering and a sense of like maintaining your course towards like enlightenment or towards whatever you're going towards that, you can get very subtle with, and you might call it magic with a K, or you might call it spirituality, or you might call it law of attraction, or whatever you might call it, but you can feel like to stay on that certain track, you have to sort of stay on a track spiritually or vibrationally or something, like just sort of a sense of like intuition, like I've got to stay centered in a certain sense, and you feel like, oh, well, just sort of letting go might let go of the course, and then I might go on a different course, and it's like, but I think that might be fallacious. I think letting go might always, as I have a channel on Rumble, LGOE period, let go of everything period, or let go of everything period. I think letting go, if I followed my own advice about letting go of everything, I think letting go might always sort of take you still on the right course, or even more on a right course, or you might rejoin the right course the more you let go. And so in the spirit of letting go, I think it might be nice to read some rap, you know, to read some rap lyrics. Now, here's the thing. Just reading lyrics without really like analyzing them or having them in somewhat of an analysis setting, I think borders on people saying, hey, that's copyright infringement, and I really don't want to do that. If it turns out that it ever is, then please just take the video down and I'll do whatever I need to not be taking part in copyright infringement. But in any case, here we go. So these are going to be rap lyrics, but they're rap lyrics from my rap songs. So what I'm doing here, the point of reading this is not to analyze these lyrics. It's not to say that they're good or bad. It's to say, just let it happen. Just do it as an exercise where you're just sort of listening to the lyrics, or I'm just reading the lyrics, but you're just sort of listening to me read the lyrics. You don't want to think about it, just these are the lyrics and just let it happen. And in doing so, it may help you with the letting go stuff, and it may help you relax, which is sort of what it's about. Like, you know, it's the most annoying thing in the world, especially in such a culture where this can double as a method of self-policing or as a method of society's self-policing on members of itself that it's policing. So, you know, if you're bringing up a point about something that's going on that's wrong, that can be changed, and can even be changed by somebody in your direct environment, and they're just not changing it because they don't give a shit, they might say, hey man, relax. That's bullshit. That's very annoying. Your response to that is likely not to relax, but it's likely to actually be tenser because whether you see it directly or whether it sort of comes across subconsciously, on some level you might be getting the sense that somebody isn't telling you or suggesting to you that you might relax for your own benefit, but really, or that because it might be good to relax, but really they're saying relax in the sense of trying to stop you from saying something that in some senses may bear saying. So I'm not saying relax in that context. What I'm saying is relaxation seems to be a possible synonym for letting go, and if it is, then all of this might be just so much easier than anybody has it sound, and it might be so much easier. It might be so much easier than, you know, all of the reams and reams of Buddhist practices. It might be so much easier than all the spiritual books on someone's shelf, my shelf included. I'm looking at a shelf right now. What are the spiritual books there? Mindfulness in Plain English. Bam. Power of Now is there, but it's sitting somewhere else. Bam. Dianetics. I consider that a spiritual book. Well, it is, you know, whether you criticize its content or not, you know, it's sort of like a nonfiction slash spiritual slash, you might say, self-helpy, pejoratively, but in any case, self-helpy text. Also Healing Trauma, or whatever the book's called. It's a green book. Bam. You know, I've got spiritual books right over there. But aside from like all the stuff that's written in all the spiritual books that you might have, I look over there. Full Catastrophe Living by John Kabat-Zinn. Bam. Stillness Speaks by Eckhart Tolle. Bam. Lessons on Life by Jim Rohn. Well, that's more self-helpy than spiritual. Okay. But then The One Thing Holding You Back by Raphael Kushner. Bam. However, a lot of what those people might be saying might really translate to, so it's not like they're saying anything incorrectly necessarily, but it might all really translate to relaxation. And so, Andrei Rublev. Yo, 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 yo. How's it feel? Feeling great. How's it feel? Feeling great. How's it feel? Feeling great. Yo, 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 yo. We study the art's debt, we study it hard. I run the other thoughts away with pitchforks. Krakens sputter under the lodge, rudders blaze, and demolish the waves without grace. We barge. Crayons so parched, and the muted marks they start to gather under gray skies, my heart crushed. Rain flies tougher as we mutter through backyards. What are we stuffing peasants into our pockets for? Paws roar, paws of the storm. It doesn't wonder just how Russian we are, or not. We tether in knots fast, like layered paint. The motor waits horses and Genghis Khan. They tell us not to parody the terror we see. In the storm surge, I write a lot of heresy pop. To get through, comrades threw 'em overboard. To get through. To teammates pushing Prometheus. Gold-chained rocks to the top of the porcelain. Vomit like God above hot sauce Gomorrah. Sighed like Zeus with the force to blow smiles down. Dollar-fist sheriffs promote subprime styles. Realtors conspire over hopscotch tiles. Banknote battering rams wreck moats. Take a seed, rake, revoke rage, I tried, and lately I'm carousing in this garden of mine, rubbing my eyes, hovering flies, swat 'em, and sprinkle on a little more water, I want 'em. Huge, elephants, trompe-l'oeil monsters, a 10-pound baby or a monstrous toddler who sets down containers of chocolate milk greater than Foster's kegs, tied to Frosted Flake boxers. We're frat house tigers, and that is just what my rhymes must try to aspire to capture. Avoid creeds, observe the casters of many stones ending in so many disasters. Christ-sized after effects when I rapture, when our frescoes with passion, flashback 4 days, after the record plays, Saturdays back then, rest and right and sword fight yesterdays, surrendered through mere art and trusted to thrust, dear parting thoughts to dogs trained to mush, through artwork, all, all gained a rush to dusty regions of the brains we strain ways to crush, with stain waves emitted from way stations to us, ride through the dark ages on a new wave, but to make the spiritual stagnation abate, I'll live like Sid, Highwind, or Ninth Fantasy, with just about nothing more to say, crusade, out of the globe we must bow to the throne, pause to paint cathedrals while we're doubting our own capacity to carry out these eloquent brushstrokes, and then we gotta sympathize with the fools when they never say we run a relevant show. The milk mustn't be forgotten for bulls. Every castle of cards needs a moat with plumbing. The softening of hard-to-chew tartar throats is unbecoming. Cartoon shooting Rublev straight down. Silence to sublime technicolor time travel when homemade church bells ring like sword fights. Card games dropped and the 52 played mites, with diamond hearts sparkling arts the paid price.